good desensitization is a prerequisite. It's very important to be able to use these modification techniques. Shall I explain something about desensitization first?
Yes.
Yeah. I think the basic elements are voluntary stuttering, very important. And what we also tell our patients is that it's a certain state of mind that is important. And this state of mind we call Gelassenheit. That's a German word, and I don't have an equivalent in English. It means something like ease of mind. A little bit, I'm missing the English word now. Mood of letting go. Gelassenheit. Gelassenheit is attentive, but not strained. And that's a good combination, that you use some voluntary stuttering and feel that you can be completely at ease. It's no difficult. It's demanding, but you're playing around with it. It's not very important, and you can observe that the whole state of excitement and anxiety, do I say it right? I'm not sure. Is not present. And in therapy, many of the participants say, I've never thought that it can be that easy to stutter and do all these crazy speech movements with my mouth and my whole speech apparatus, and still stay calm. There's an element of relaxation in it, but not deep relaxation, but it's a certain state of mind, certain mood that you're in.
There are two types of trick. One of them block, second of them repeating. Can we use both of stuttering type, these methods?
As long as you don't use any force. Try not to stutter forcefully, but very explicit. Everybody can hear it, everybody can see it, and that you convince yourself that it is possible to appear as a person who stutters without feeling this rush.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. understand that?
Yes.
And it's not a special type of stuttering. Everything is permitted, but not forcefully.
Yeah.
That's the basic thing. And we spend a whole week with this desensitization, 5 days. And we do experiments outside the therapy room. We make telephone calls, and an element of these telephone calls is that we answer the telephone by using, in Germany it's customary to say first a greeting, Guten Tag, and we say Guten Tag. At least 3 repetitions.
Yeah.
And many participants think they will hang up immediately. No, if it is done with a determination, I don't even try to say Guten. I say Guten Tag. And they don't hang up. And that is very tricky, very, very effective, because it tells your telephone partner, you are now talking with a person who stutters. And I don't know about Turkish culture much, but in German culture, you don't reject it. You know, if it is clear and easy to understand a person who stutters, you don't hang up, and you continue in your telephone conversation to use these types of voluntary stuttering. And I think that's very important that you have gone through this, and you have used several weeks certain types of voluntary stuttering. And when you are ripe and ready to switch to modification techniques, then you can do it. Otherwise, chances are lower that you are able to do these modification techniques. So it's my plea to take this serious. Let's assume that you are through it, that you have this tolerance for your own voluntary stuttering. What are the ways to get at the stuttering directly? And we have a procedure that is called cancellation. In German, I use the word Nachbesserung, means something like after betterment, after improvement. That's a term from the legal language of trade. If you don't get what you wanted, you can return it, and the person who sold it to you has to improve it, make it better so that it satisfies your demand or your my English is too weak. Anyway, Nachbesserung means you do it after the stuttering. And it's fairly easy to describe. The requirement is, or the characteristic is that you have, after a word, the working unit is the stuttered word, the word in which stuttering appears. And after saying the word, with all the stuttering that is in there, and all the improvements you can already make, the type of stuttering is not important. It's only that this was a stuttered word. You make a pause. You don't say the next word. And you use this pause. It can be a pause of between 3 and 5 seconds, which is longer than you think. You use this pause to imagine the movement that constitutes the fluent utterance of the word in your head, and once you feel you're ready to do it, then you do it. I can make an example. Did you observe what I did?
Yeah.
I made this pause, I did it. Little speech movement can come with it, with this thinking through the word. It's a thinking of the movement. And then you perform it in a slower way. And when you have some experience with it, you can guarantee that the real utterance will work fluently. Before that, before desensitization, you have to put in some effort to understand the speech movement itself. So we are spending 5 days with just collection of insights in your stuttering and also in the normal speech movement. That's what we call phonetics, speech science, physics of speaking. You have to study that before. And at the start of the stuttering modification, we do some exercise in analyzing words. Analyzing means to become conscious of the positions and the transitions between positions.
Mm-hmm.
So if you, I always use the name of a certain German city called Kassel.
Mm-hmm.
How many positions are involved in Kassel? 4.
Mm-hmm.
The K position,
Mm-hmm.
the A, C, the S position, and the D position. So what happens between those positions? Ka, you lower your jaw a little bit, you initiate voice, you lift your tongue with the rim, the front rim behind your lower teeth. That's at least how I say this. There are 2 variants of it. And then the voice is off, and the A is on, ka, si. But somewhere in the transition from A to S, the voice is shut off. The voice has only 2 states, on and off. And in L it's on again. So I want to tell you something. I had a stroke 10 years ago. Hemorrhage in my brain. And after this stroke, I did not know how to put on a jacket and how to tie my shoes. I had to think all the movements in putting on a jacket. How do I hold it? This way, that way. I have to think it. Then I use my arm. Where do I put it? On the other side. That. Now stand there. What next? I have to go with this arm, and then I have to grab the other arm. So everything had to be the same thing with my shoes. And I did some exercises like going backwards on the stairs, all these coordination things. Because all the automatic movements were gone, not there. And that's the way you do your cancellations. You say the word as if you did not know how it is said. Directing it with your movement thoughts. And you use also these Nachbesserungen, these cancellations in your real communication, which might be very difficult. Use stutter. First finish the word, even if it takes long. Then make a pause. Think the word movement, and then do it. Does this appear possible to you? First, does it make sense? Obviously it makes sense. But do you think you could do this?
We can.
We can. It's very interesting to observe what happens in communication. Everybody thinks if you make a pause of 3 to 5 seconds, everybody will interrupt you. And they do, but only once or twice. If your listener understands that the word will come again anyway, they understand, okay, he's a certain guy, he does this, it seems to help him, he likes to do it, even if you don't, and they tolerate it. And this is the rule. We can observe this in all telephone calls. The tendency to interrupt, there are different people. Some animals do interrupt you every time, but very, very few. Most of them become tolerant, not only because they are well-meaning or well-educated, because they understand that it is effective. It's the most effective way to carry on the conversation if they just wait. Understand it very quickly. Most of them. So that is what I say in order to seduce you to try it. So, but that's not only the first thing first activity in modification. And the second thing is the natural consequence of it. If you are able to do this, the next question is, why do you have to wait until the word is spoken? And this rule is only invented to fight fear. Now that you don't give in and go back as fast as you can, because going back is what you perfectly can do. This is, the new thing is going forward, even if heavy stuttering is. But if you have this competence to produce in the very surrounding of this stuttering a fluent utterance, the next question is, why can't you start it earlier? That means that you start to stutter and make a little halt in the position where you are and start this slow, controlled movement from there. And that is what we call pull out. wie sagt man das auf Türkisch? Gibt es da eine Übersetzung?
Ya man kann es genauso übersetzen. Kendini
Rausziehen.
işin içinden çekmek. Sen kendi kendini blokun içinden çekiyorsun.
Und das ist eine Kombination von Anhalten, also in dem Moment nicht weiter stottern, aber nicht nochmal irgendwo anders hingehen, nochmal Anlauf nehmen, das überhaupt nicht, sondern von da aus, wo man ist, anzusetzen. Ich sage dazu auch wiedergewinnen, oh, I should speak English, regain control by a little halt. And from there, but you have to have the experience with the cancellation, because otherwise there is no plan. You say, I want to speak fluently, that's okay, but the plan is to use this pre-planned movement in that moment. And from there, it depends. There are stutterers who have a very good foresight on moments of stuttering, a very good anticipation. They can tell you the next 3 words down, and then there will come a difficult word. And when you have this anticipation, there's one more. No. Anticipation is the word. Then you can, of course, use it and not just stumble into that difficult word, but make a little pause before you say the word. I still have, you may not believe it, but I still have moments of stuttering. And it's mostly in words that start or have some end in it. Und da gibt es, there is one word, with the discussion with the train system, they have a Schnupperkarte. It's untranslatable. And I stutter on the end. But I can decide, I can say, I use that word, but I don't even make an effort to say it normally. I say Schnupperkarte, and then this is a little sticky, but I succeed. Maybe sometimes only in the second trial, then I just call again and do this. But to understand the modification phase, it might be an idea that you read this presentation, Kahneman meets Van Riper. Did you read it? Because that's in English, and it has a very interesting discussion in it. You can find it under the title, and also it was part of the 2014 online conference. I think you can find it on the internet. And you find the presentation. It's rather short, but I think in the Kahneman technology, it's also very easy to describe. And now you have examples.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
One last question I can ask. We have been organizing self-help meeting in several cities of Turkey for one year almost. However, we have been many obstacles in Turkey. Like we don't have money source, or we are not supported by Ministry of Health, or it's hard to convince people who to attend our self-help meetings. You know that like this self-help meeting, what should we do to solve these problems in Turkey?
Ich habe nicht alles verstanden. Zum Beispiel das Wort Decipher kann ich nicht verstehen.
Ben o kelimeyi anlamadık.
Self-help.
Öz yardım.
Self-help.
Self-help.
Self.
For first, take a course in English articulation as a prerequisite to understand the speech movement. That's what I would like to do with you anyway.
Wir haben ja den Berthold um halb. Ich denke mal, wir werden irgendwie Bescheid sagen, dass er sich rauszögert. Olmazsa biz iptal ederiz. Daha geç bir saat alırız çünkü önemli.
Yeah, that's difficult. We have the experience that the self-help groups best profit from having members who have done a good therapy. Because those members have ideas and can define projects to work on. And the question is, how is it possible that you four do a therapy group and I come to Turkey? It's not so far away. How long do you fly to Turkey from here? 2
Almost
hours?
3 hours.
3 hours?
Mm-hmm.
Depending on how where you go. Yeah, think about it. Don't you think that there some money can be found? Are there foundations or anything that we can ask for money?
We are not supported by the government, for example.
Yeah, maybe not government, but maybe a person like George Soros has a fund. Yeah, no, he supported groups in Estland, Estonia. It's not impossible.
Yeah.
But the one thing you have to do, if you want to get money donated to you, you have to ask for it. If you don't ask for it, you are not seen and not heard.
Any question? Okay,
It was clear.
thank you. Do you want to anything to add?
To ask you
No.
to add,
Yeah. No. Thank you.
okay.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.